Good morning and welcome to the Bart Winkler Show. Good morning, everybody. I am Bart Winkler. I'm joined today by Grant Bilse of the Wisco Sports Show, and this week filling in for Thrill Michaels on stations across the state, and also Paul Imig of, I got an old on Milwaukee.com.
that was short-lived. That was just like
Let me just say hello to everybody. And I was just rereading some of the tweets that I put out on Monday night. You knew things got bad when I started talking about Ryan Horvat's pubes.
By the way, I've not seen these, so
I was just saying that you simp for a guy because you loved him before you got pubes. You know, Rogers. Bodie's all on my dick. That's always a fun way to start a morning. I weigh more than I ever have. My drinking is a little bit out of control right now. And the Bucks lost. So that's just not. And the thing that bothers me the most is, we lump in Wisconsin teams, and that does come when you have good teams and they get far, but they don't win the title. It's a lot of heartbreak. And I did pace around my living room. I won't compare this in terms of what it did. Although the 2014 NFC Championship game, if they lose this series, might be a good parallel. But that's the way I was acting in my house on Monday, throwing shit, yelling. I was crumpled up. I couldn't believe it was actually happening. And then to do the show and people asking me can we worry yet? And told you so. It's like everybody was celebrating. My main thing that I was saying on Tuesday's show, Monday's postgame, was congratulations, everyone, for getting 2 to 3 more days of worry out of this than I did. Congratulations that you started worrying and panicking and being miserable 2 to 3 days before I did. Congratulations for you. And that's what I don't understand. Also, my dumbass still thinks the Bucks are going to win this series. So with that, welcome both of you boys to the program.
Thank you, Bart. We all express these emotions differently. For me, Monday night's game was just eye roll city. Just constantly eye rolling, annoyed. My word would have been annoyed. It was annoying to watch. Right?
I felt like a child. I haven't felt that way watching a sporting event in a while. I don't know the last time I was that physically upset, but
I got another tweet. Wisconsin should be such a great state, but too many people get sad about the maybes rather than celebrate the possibilities. This applies to everything: politics, sports, trains. A state that wants success but is too afraid to achieve it.
Well,
okay.
Lots of angles there, I suppose, if you wanted to take them.
I was talking about, Paul, how I kicked my Paw Patrol toys.
Yeah.
John McNally tweeted at me, Zuma actually got a toy. He might as well be cut from Paw Patrol. He's 2023 Chris Middleton.
Zuma is definitely the least vital of the 6 main pups. Grant, your thoughts?
I buy. If we're buy or selling that, I'll buy that.
Because Grant, let me tell you, he's a water-based pup, so you have to have a water-based episode.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So it's like Aquaman. He's limited. He's very limited.
KJ was yelling at me to go to bed, and I said, "Why do people that tell me to go to bed are up as late as I am?"
Maybe they're spending their time differently, though. Maybe it's because of your frustration.
Someone's telling me, Dave from Monona, our friend Grant, says, why is anyone giving Bart the time of day? He's a clown, a shit show who knows nothing about playoff basketball. Somebody commented on that and said, he is a clown. What does he know? I said, what did I know when the Bucks were down 2-0 to the Suns? They said, what did you guarantee this year? I didn't guarantee anything this year. And I said, my guarantee this year was that people would continue to be mad at me because I'm smarter than them, and that forces them to realize how stupid they are. I also said, remember when you idiots thought the Packers would make the playoffs when they were 4-8, and I blamed you for inhaling on hopium. That's me now for the Bucks. Someone said that parade chair that you said you would eat is going to be nice and tasty. I said tweets were meant to be deleted.
Yeah. Why did people take it out? I'm relatively new to this business. Why do people take it out on us when their teams lose? It's my team too. Why are people in my mentions like, I think I tweeted, I don't know, like this sucks. Like it was something and someone was like, they're toast. They're screaming in my mentions. It's like, I know. I watched. Like, why are you yelling at me?
Well, I mean, I'm a little different case because I do kind of get preachy about it.
I was going to say, I think Bart makes himself a target for these things.
Did you this year?
I'm just because what all that like I really am going to go back to this 100 times. You guys are just celebrating, like people taking victory laps on me are celebrating that they got to worry for 3 more days than me. And the series isn't even over yet. The Bucks series price right now is plus 120. Like, I'm going to Pato and taking that.
Yeah, I was actually texting with a buddy last night, and he had me guess, and I don't know how odds work, but I do know how percentages work. And the guess was like, would you guess it's between like a 40 to 45% chance that the Bucks win the series still? And I said, oh, that seems high. I'd say like 30 to 35%. And at the time, it was plus 130, which is a 43% chance. The Bucks still have according to the odds and everything, the Bucks have a 43% chance to still win the series. Now, that's less than 50, but admittedly, it's higher than what I thought it was going to be. I would have thought, 30, 35%. So Bart, you're not alone in your optimism about putting money.
Well,
down.
I might be alone in saying this. One more tweet of mine. True Bucks fans want them to lose this series because true Bucks fans want to lose. True Wisconsin sports fans want to be sad because it's easier than having hope. Fans in this state suck. I hate them all. They are losers and I hate them.
You are alone in that one. This is how you built such a good community. These type of tweets.
I mean, and I look at my Twitter and I'm like, to really get on the couch about this, I'm like, do these kind of nights hurt me?
Yes. Yeah. Unequivocally.
But this is also like, no, I'm talking about like hurt me like for like if I want to be a PR man.
Yes.
But this is also
more so. Yes. Then
no, this is me running PR for myself.
I love this cell that you've created in your head about how you're just the marketing guy for the Bart Winkler Show. You just happen to also be Bart Winkler.
Yes, but I am marketing. This is creating engagement. This is, well, what's he going to say now? This is. I'm a guy in like the tiniest corner of the internet that needs people to come to me. And on my YouTube and my Twitter, I had like a couple thousand people watching on a Monday night.
Did you really?
So something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I know what happened.
A lot of people. No, I'm not going to say it. Never mind.
What?
It was going to be I'm not comparing you to Skip Bayless, but people do hate watch Skip Bayless, don't they? I know.
You think some people out there hate watch me?
I'm definitely starting to think it's possible.
They still watch though.
Well, who's ever here? I don't care. I don't care why you watch. Just make sure you go to happyplacehemp.com. The promo code is BART, 25% off every single order. We're talking all the gummies that help you get through this awful, awful situation that is happening with our beloved basketball team. You take the gummies. I watched this game with so much stress the other night. If I would have just popped the Delta 8 beforehand, by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, I wouldn't have given a care in the world. And these are the things that they can do for you. You got some THC-free gummies, help you focus a little bit. You got some of the creams that might make an owie feel better. And you got some of the gummies that might make you feel better about your miserable lot in life as a Wisconsin sports fan. HappyPlaceHemp.com. Promo code is BART. Let's start the
Let's do it. Okay. I have a little bit of everything today. As you know, I prepped these questions out, these topics out way in advance. It was not with the assumption we'd be talking about a 3-1 deficit. So I had to make some tweaks. as to how these were framed.
If the first question is the next opponent you'd like to be the New York Knicks, I'm gonna leave.
Well, let me tell you one that I'm skipping.
Okay.
Which is, as a Bucks fan, you should be cheering heavily for the 76ers in their series against Boston.
God damn it.
I got to skip that one. We got to skip that one. Let's start with this one. Like I said, there is a 43% chance that the Bucks still beat the Heat. Sure. So even if the Bucks win this first-round series against the Heat, it was still a disappointing effort and has caused the team to play additional hard-fought minutes that you're worried will catch up to them later in the playoffs. So even if they come back and win, you would still look back at it as a disappointment that caused them to play far more minutes than they should have, that will cost them, or that you're worried will cost them later on. Or mm-mm.
I'm going to say mm-mm. I really don't think like the way they play against the Heat is that indicative of how they're going to play against the Celtics. You got to remember with this series, even if like they end, and one of the discussions on my show after Monday's loss was people really want to say that Giannis's legacy is on the line. And they really want to compare him to Rodgers for being a one-title guy. But we are so, we're in the middle of Giannis's career. We're not where we're at with Rodgers.
Can I interject there?
Yeah.
The problem, though, for Giannis and his legacy is that this is a very old Bucks team. A very cap-strapped, old Bucks team. If they can't get it done with Middleton and Drew and Brooke, who are all in their 30s, what is the next generation of this? Isn't the Warriors where you still have Poole and Looney and Moody and Kuminga. This is not that situation. So I don't know about the whole legacy part of it, but there is a window here. When you have the core of your team in their early to mid 30s, there's a window. And if you miss this window, what does the next, if they lose, well, I'll pause there. But I just want to point that out, Bart. It's not, I don't know about the Rodgers comparison yet, but they don't have forever to figure this out when you have a team that's cap-strapped and old.
I had a real interesting night doing the post-game show because there were people that are in the business that were watching me that didn't want to comment publicly, but were DMing me things.
Names. Reveal your sources.
Nah, the names aren't relevant enough to name.
Nick Wright?
No, but somebody said, not going to get into it because it's fraught, but hot take Jake saying the Bucks need to do a soft rebuild is closer to right than wrong. But soft rebuild isn't an actual option. They might need to completely blow it up and retool ASAP around Giannis. So if they lose this series, I don't know who's back, honestly. They might do some crazy ass shit.
Well, none of this is
I have a topic about this. So.
Brooks a free agent and Chris Middleton has a player option. Right? I have those details correct, right? It is a player option for Chris Middleton.
That's right.
This isn't necessarily what will the Bucks decide to do. All these decisions could very well be made for the Bucks. I don't know that people are talking about it this core was about to be together for 3 more years and win all these titles, and because they lose to the Heat, that's now all of a sudden not going to be the case. I don't know that this core was going to be together anyways, regardless of how this postseason went.
Well, if they won a title, they're keeping everybody around.
I would have thought that too.
But it might not be up to them. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so as far as this series being indicative of other series, I still think if they win the series now in 7, the slate's wiped clean. And in fact, I might argue that it helped them.
The slate might be wiped clean, but the knees, the back, the strain on the body is not wiped clean.
Well, and that's why I brought up the Giannis legacy thing, because so far he played 11 minutes through 3 games and then came back and injured, had a triple-double. This is not the series. That's like saying that, that's like me shitting on Rodgers for an NFC Championship game loss if he played half of the first quarter, came back in the fourth quarter and threw 3 touchdowns.
Thank you.
I mean, the guy was hurt. The guy was hurt for a bunch of it. So I don't get that argument at that point. And then the other thing that I want to say now is what sucks about how this series started is that where I came into the playoffs desperate to win the finals again, I just want to win this series now.
Yeah, but if you win this series,
but right now my goalpost has moved inward. We got to win this series, because then what this tells me also is that the bubble that I keep calling a fluke wasn't a fluke.
It was a different team. Drew Holiday wasn't on that
but
team.
It was the Heat. It was the Heat and Jimmy Butler and all these guys shooting crazy on us. And I'm like, that's not real. And now it's real. It's the same shit. This is the same series.
I mean, Duncan Robinson got paid $17 million a year, I think, off of essentially that series and then that stretch run. And then he was not a rotation player for the Heat until this series. Duncan Robinson was completely out of it, and now he's just like splash, 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 everything. So, yeah, I think Duncan Robinson should give some of that money to Milwaukee.
That's a good take. Also, the question, if they win this series, I think the slate is wiped clean, and we're not going to dwell on it because Giannis missed 3 games. So that resets your expectations a little bit. Also, watch the Heat. They're just playing a lot better than we thought. Like, the Heat are playing really good. I know everyone wants to crucify Bud and Chris is terrible and Drew Holiday sucks, but like, I don't know, man. The Heat just look really good, and it sucks, but they're playing like a really good team. And so
okay, so here's another debate I was having last night. Then let's just do this really simplistically. Coach Bud is a good NBA head coach. Or mm-mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach Bud's a good NBA head coach.
Yeah. Or mm-mm.
Well, he's not a good playoff coach.
Isn't that all that? I mean, and you're saying this about a guy that won, who led a team to a championship.
That was Bud's fault. And it's 2 nights ago now. We're recording this the next morning, but that was Bud. Bud looked like he put the perfect game plan in for the first 42 minutes to me. Looked like they had the right idea.
Well, they didn't, but here's my counter to that, Graham. But they didn't pull away. Why didn't they pull away? Why didn't they make it an insurmountable lead that wasn't attainable to come back from?
It's hard to do in the NBA.
Why was Drew Holiday?
Everyone's really good.
This is me playing devil's advocate. Why was Drew Holiday playing every minute and Javon Carter didn't touch the floor despite Holiday having a very poor game?
Why was every pass like as if they were trying to fucking go viral on YouTube? Like, why couldn't they have any normal passes?
And I think when a player puts, what was Jimmy Butler's final point line?
56.
When a player puts up 56 in the playoffs, I think like 80% of the credit goes to that player. But a decent chunk of that percentage of like, how did they get 56 has to be on the defensive coaching game plan. You can't just say, well, he had a really good night. He had a great night. Yes, he did, that you allowed him to continue having. You didn't do anything different to disrupt that. And it doesn't take away from Jimmy Butler or any great player who puts up 56 in a playoff game. But you have the ability to stop that or to try to stop that, and you didn't. So I do think that's a failing.
Double? You want to send 2?
You do something.
Then Caleb Martin's wide open, and he couldn't miss, and Duncan Robinson's wide. I mean,
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, I just think there's, when a player goes off, there's deserved criticism for the coaching game plan, and I wonder how much of this too is. We're watching Darvin Ham versus Taylor Jenkins. Pretty soon, Charles Lee might be the coach of the Detroit Pistons. As you have success, all of your assistant coaches leave. And if you're just sort of like the play random guy, then you have to have the technicians on your bench to do the stuff for you that's maybe not your forte as much as it is other coaches' forte. And you start to see these failings, Bud had a great staff. It was recognized across the league, and it's been stripped away from him. Maybe that's being exposed.
I have a defined brand, is what I would tell prospective PR people. Like, what you're going to get from me. That's what I'll do for your brand. There's no surprises here. You're not going to boycott me because of something I say. We're now like, God, Bud Light. Also, the comparison I would like to make is the Packers' inability to fire their defensive coordinator during the Rodgers tenure
Yep.
Sure.
equals the Bucks' propensity to trade or pick up these guys at the deadline that then are unplayable in the playoffs.
Yeah, but why are they unplayable?
Why didn't you just throw this is what I don't get. With Jimmy Butler's going crazy like that.
Right.
Put Jay on him for 2 minutes just for a different look.
This
put Thanasis on him. Seriously. Just put someone else out there that is different. Like that. Sometimes that's all it takes. And so I understand rotation, shrink, and all this stuff, but the guy's going for 56 on you. He's having his day. Kevin Harlan's coming all over himself in the first quarter, which really pissed me off.
Yeah.
People are like, watch Bally's. It's the playoffs. Come on.
I'm not watching fucking Bally's. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yep.
We got to watch Bally's on Wednesday.
See, I think that was the same thing, Bart, you talked about with Tony Snell and Kawhi Leonard back in the Raptors series, right?
How could anyone forget?
There's a different element to that because Tony Snell and Kawhi Leonard grew up playing together. But I think, Grant, I think that's part of the criticism that nobody on this type of show is going to do the X's and O's the way that Mike Budenholzer can. And, that's fine. But at a super high macro level, there's some what seem to be simple ideas that he just doesn't try. And one of those is that Jay Crowder sits on the bench. Javon Carter sits on the bench. It's simplistic to narrow it down into like rotation minutes because that's a relatively casual way to approach it. But also, you just gave up 4 second-round picks and a bunch of dudes for Jay Crowder. You've seen Javon Carter be a consistently good two-way player for you. He's not electric, but he's solid. And it doesn't, and then they sit there while a dude goes off for 56.
I would just like to say what I don't understand about all of this that we're talking about when it comes to the Bucks is why are we in a situation where with the Milwaukee Bucks, we have to keep realizing over and over just how miserable it is to root for a team that is just, not bringing their A game all the time. It just really bothers me as a Bucks fan that we got to continue to go through this.
So we're talking about Butler going for 56. Could I posit, there's a new word. Could I posit that their issue down the stretch was not defense, but in fact offense, Paul? And I don't know. They got outscored 30-13 down the stretch. They finished the game. This per our friend Justin Garcia. 4 of 13 with 4 turnovers. They were outscored 30-13. They just make a couple of shots. Jimmy can go for 56. The Bucks win, and then we're thinking, well, Jimmy's not going to go for 56 again. You let Jimmy cook, but you didn't let anyone else beat you. Clever, smart. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit on that, but I don't know. Do you want them to throw Jay Crowder out there only because they traded for him? Because then if that doesn't work, we're crushing Bud.
Why did you trade for him? Why you traded for him?
Then you're only playing him to save face because you made the trade.
But you traded for him. This is why you traded for him.
I think they traded for him for a Boston series. They didn't acquire Jay.
But I mean, I would say but Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown are all these bigger wings who have. It's not okay, well, they got him to defend insert name of Joel Embiid. It's you're talking all about wings who can score, Tatum, Brown, Butler. So it's not inconceivable that, well, it's a point guard matchup. Well, then it shouldn't be Jay Crowder. Oh, it's a center matchup. So it shouldn't be Jay Crowder. And I would just say if the general manager and the coach are in lockstep, as they should be when you give away 4 second-round picks and players, there needs to be an understanding, like John Horst of saying to Bud, this will change things for you, right? This is a big piece that if Jason Tatum, if Jaylen Brown, if Jimmy Butler are going bonkers on us and we're facing a tough situation, you'd want to use him, right, coach? Yeah. I would definitely want to use him. And I think when you do have situations like that, and it's not just about signing a guy for money, but you're giving away your draft capital, you don't play him to play him. But the coach and the GM should have been very much aligned that this is a valuable piece that I intend to use. And he does, so it's not about Jay Crowder as much as it is about, I think, the misalignment that bothers me,
I'm just pushing back. I'm not really looking to fight you to the death on Jay Crowder, Paul. I just gotta say, like, I've been really busy the last week, so I could have missed it, to be fair. But did I miss Jay Crowder looking like absolute shit through the first 3 games of the series? Like, he was bad. He was really, really bad.
Yeah, let me just say,
like, Mirotic shot him out of a playoff series in 2019, and they kept running him out there.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know.
Let me be clear. This is not a pro Jay Crowder stance.
A pro try something stance.
That's right. It's
yeah. I didn't even want him here.
This is true. That is correct. Bart was about the only one who didn't want him.
Yeah, I just think when you have what's happening in that game, and you're just like, and we know this about Bud. He is going to stick to what he does. It's his deal. If there are like 2 things that define him as a coach,
but if you're also like, why? What? They were up 15 with 8 to go.
See, I still think that whole time I'm watching that and I'm thinking, why is it still 15? Why is it still 12?
Oh, it should have been 20.
Right, because once you kind of hit that 20 spot,
and that's what I said about the Heat the other night. I said you can tell they're a bad team because they should be blowing us out. Well, maybe the Bucks were the same way.
Yeah. So I mean,
hey, I got a tweet here.
Okay.
So remember, I said true Bucks fans want them to lose this series because true Bucks fans want to lose. True Wisconsin sports fans want to be sad because it's easier than having hope. Fans in the state suck. I hate them all. They're losers, and I hate them. And I said that's good for me. Grandma Stabibs tweeted back at me, hammered and depressed, a true Wisconsinite. Checkmate. That's my brand.
Touché.
That's my brand.
All right. So just to be clear, Bart and Grant, you are both saying that even if they come back and win the series, you're not worried that the additional hard-fought minutes will cost them later.
No, and maybe it benefits them. It benefited the Heat by playing in the play-in tournament.
Mm-hmm. And Grant doesn't seem to bother Brook Lopez. He looks fucking unreal right now. It might kill Chris Middleton. His body seems to be falling apart at the seams, but it didn't seem to bother Giannis or Brook last night. So
okay.
I don't know. I think if the Bucks come back and win the series, the prevailing thought will be look out, right? The Bucks figured it out and now they're pissed off. Maybe a little wear and tear, but I don't
as long as Middleton's body isn't shot by the end of it, as long as Brook and his incredible play and his 35-year-old 7-foot body can keep going, but anyway, right. Win the series first. And that's why I'm saying all the topics obviously drastically change when you're talking 3-1 versus 2-2. But all right. You guys were bringing this up earlier, and Grant, you in particular, with like, what does this roster look like? And, it's an old roster and all these other things. So I was listening to Grant's favorite podcast recently. It was
the one tweet I did delete was somebody from The Ringer was tweeting.
Michael Pina.
Yeah, and I shit all over him because he
That's
said the playoffs.
Coworker.
He has said the playoffs.
By the way,
so far.
That was an L. That was a massive L.
He did vote for Draymond Green for Defensive Player of the Year, so there's some L's being tossed around.
I deleted it.
By the way, on Simmons, it is my favorite podcast. I'll probably go the next 2 months without listening to it. I can't. This is why this loss sucks, is because now I actually don't want to watch basketball or consume basketball content, which is my favorite type of content. So maybe I'll get into hockey. Give me Matt in the Falls number. He can text me at 1 a.m.
It is like when, if the Packers have that Saturday afternoon playoff game and if, they lose, it's like, oh my God, I want to watch these other 3 games, but I kind of don't, which is terrible. Okay. So we're talking about the Bucks roster, and it's Brook Lopez unrestricted, Chris Middleton player option. I sent this to my buddies last week when it was like a 1-1 series, I think. Your guy Bill Simmons was having a conversation with J. Kyle Mann, and they were trying to figure out Trae Young destinations, because Trae Young is such a flawed player and he's gotten 2 coaches fired and all these other things. And they just couldn't they couldn't find a place for Trae Young to be traded to. And I was like, that's interesting. And then it popped in my head that being paired with Giannis, Drew, and Brook is like the perfect Trae Young roster. So here's what I have to ask you. And by the way, my buddy said that, quote, "This thought ruined my whole day," end quote, because he was thinking about it, but also because he hated the thought of it.
My day's already been ruined, so let's go.
So,
Make it worse.
So sign and trade Chris Middleton for Trae Young. Straight up. Or mm-mm. This is a total thought exercise, hypothetical, nothing, whatever. But I just wanted to think about, like, you're getting 6-7 years younger from Middleton to Trae Young. You're totally changing the type with the way you would line up offensively and defensively. But I think let me just say this before we answer it. Chris Middleton, if they re-sign him to some, horrendous 4-year, $200 million contract, that will be a terrible contract from the day it's signed. That doesn't mean you don't do it, because the way that the NBA cap works is you retain your assets and then you just figure it out later. Trae Young is a negative contract for the Hawks right now. So anyway, let's just play it out for as we can do it for 10 seconds on this. We do 10 minutes on it. If the season does not end well, Chris Middleton's a free agent. He opts out. The Bucks don't want to keep him, but they know they want to get something back for his salary slot. Middleton for Trae Young, or mm-mm.
I'm of the line of thought of why the hell not? Who cares? I don't like watching Trae Young. Watching Trae Young,
I don't either.
Annoys the shit out of me.
100%. I don't either. This is not a pro. This is just like it wasn't pro Jimmy, but or pro Jay Crowder. This is not pro Trae Young. This is like, you have the salary situation you have. You don't want to lose Middleton for nothing. You don't want to pay 32-year-old, 33-year-old, 34, 35-year-old Chris Middleton $50 million. So you're like, okay, well, he's not super valuable either in terms of his trade value, making $50 million. So, what else can we do? Okay, let's do the Trae Young thing. Let's pair Trae Young with Brooke and Giannis and Drew. So, great.
How would that would that work? How would that look?
How would it not work? You could play Drew and Trae as your, on off ball guards. He would pretty much be Grayson Allen, like the off ball, but then sometimes on ball. And it's not a perfect comp, but I don't know. Grant.
He could cook in the pick and roll with Giannis. Not in a million years would this work, because sign and trades for the most part never work. But fuck it, why not? I'm with Bart. Like, I'm pissed at Chris. And I love Chris Middleton. I'm pissed off at him. Like, he took until March to get remotely into shape this year.
Yeah.
Which, like, whatever. He didn't have an off season for a couple of years because of the schedule. I get it. But Jesus Christ, like, I don't know. It took until March. I'll just repeat myself because I guess I don't have anything else to say. It took until March for him to get into shape. And you got old man Brook Lopez playing the best goddamn basketball of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. It sucks. So I don't know what they do with Chris Middleton. Problem is I don't know what team would want a high price Chris Middleton in a trade, whether it's a sign and trade or a trade that's, a year or two down the road. What team is the best comp you could think is, well, a young team wants their CJ McCollum, but CJ McCollum plays basketball. Like, he's vocal, like he does a lot of things. And I'm not trying to dump on Chris Middleton here, but like, I can't imagine being a GM of a young up and coming team with money to burn and saying, I want to take on Chris Middleton because he will do this, that, and the other thing for my team. And I love Chris, but this year pissed me off.
Well, I think that's why you would look for, again, this is just a thought exercise, but it's why you would look for a team also desperate, also looking to get rid of a big contract, looking for a shakeup. And if you're the Hawks, you'd say, oh, we have DeJounte Murray. As long as he's not bumping into refs after a game, he's a valuable piece. He can be the point guard. We add some veteran leadership. You just kind of, yeah.
Veteran leadership might be again. I don't want to dump on Chris.
How about a steady veteran presence?
There you go, a steady presence. I mean, I don't even know if he's steady. He got a bad whistle on Saturday, and he acted like 19-year-old Jason fucking Tatum. Like, this whole last week and a half has just made my blood boil with Chris Middleton. And I've never been, Bart, you've known me. I've never been like when the Bucks lose, come straight for Chris Middleton because that's the response. Like, that's never really been how I watch or talk about the Bucks. But
yeah. Okay. All of this to say, the Bucks have for whether you want to talk about Giannis' legacy or whatever, there's a window here. And Middleton might not be a Buck next year. Brook Lopez might not be a Buck next year. And by the way, if they are Bucks next year, it's because you overpaid them at a really bad age to overpay for guys. Brook is going to be 35. Middleton's going to be 32. It doesn't mean let me be very clear. It does not mean you don't do it. That's the NBA salary cap works in a way that you do overpay to re-sign guys that you know aren't actually worth that because it's the only choice you have because you can't replace them, just the way the cap works. But there's a window here because these dudes are in NBA years old, and in Middleton's case, body breaking down. Let's not forget Brook missed pretty much the entire previous season with his back. This is a very, very, very critical moment in this Giannis timeline.
Can I ask you guys a Bucks question?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to invoke the Packers because I feel like we all wanted Rodgers out, or a lot of people wanted Rodgers out because then we don't have to talk about him. And then he gets traded yesterday, and the first joke that everyone makes last night when the Bucks are losing is an Aaron Rodgers based joke, which is shitty. And also, like, I thought we didn't want to do this anymore, but like I went on our morning show in Madison this morning, and I'm like, this is worse than any Packers playoff loss in my life. In the grand scheme of things, like, okay, 2014. Oh, 2014 was worse. Okay, well, they made 3 more NFC championship games with Aaron Rodgers after that, right? Like, I don't know if this team's going to be together for 3 more months, let alone 3 more years, let alone 3 conference championships.
Okay.
Right?
But that might be a good thing.
Maybe. I don't know. Great quality players with chemistry with Giannis don't just grow on trees, though, who are also good defenders, if we're talking about Brook Lopez, who are also versatile, who also stay healthy outside of a 1 in a million back injury once a year that needed surgery. And then he came back at the end and was phenomenal anyways. Like,
wait, so here's what's so fascinating to me. I agree with everything you just said, Grant. I think the Bucks are incredibly deep, even though you didn't really see it in this game on Monday night.
Not that you'd fucking know, but yes, they are. I agree.
But
Sorry,
from a top 4, Giannis, Chris, Drew, Brook, good luck putting together a better 4. Why the hell? Hold on. Why are given all
talk
these
for like 20 minutes?
Because you're staring at your Twitter. All of these things being said, why are they down 3-1 then? So basically, what the hell is the only thing I can come up with, Bart?
Sure.
We look at what's happened with the Packers and how they only have one title with Rodgers. And I think, like, a lot of those losses have all their little things, but I think Rodgers takes more of the blame than Giannis would take on how the Bucks have lost. When all these Bucks losses, I don't think, Giannis didn't play well enough.
Giannis was unbelievable last year. And he's missed 3 of the 4 games this year. That doesn't excuse the Bucks.
So we got a Giannis injury now. We had Middleton injury last year. We had whatever happened against the Raptors. We had COVID. It's like with the Packers, there's the one Super Bowl, and there's all these crazy other bullshit things that kept us from winning Super Bowls. And so that parallel is true with the Bucks. Like, they should have another one. We're going to look back and say they should have another one. In the case of the Packers, I'll put more weight on Rodgers should have been better than I ever will Giannis should have been better.
Is it harder to win an NBA Finals or a Super Bowl? I think it's harder to win a Finals.
No, I'm gonna say Super Bowl.
It's a good question.
Because you get one chance to lose and you're done. I think the NBA is built so that the better team wins a series.
I would say it's harder to build the best team in the NBA than it is in the NFL. And then I would also say, but all of those games also open the door for injuries up the ass, as we've seen with the Clippers, and we might see with the Suns. I don't see with Embiid. So even when you build a contending team in the NBA, which is unbelievably hard, I'd say it's harder than it is in the NFL. Who knows what can happen? The playoffs are 2 months long. It's a war. It's a slugfest.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. What do you think of the new WWE belt?
I think they made a big mistake. And basically saying, like, here's the consolation championship. None of y'all can beat Roman Reigns. So here, go win this stupid fucking thing.
And now they'll probably take it off Reigns right away to like Braun Breaker or something stupid.
I don't like it at all, Bart. The title looks a bit silly, but my problem is the narrative of this is the consolation championship. It's like when the Bulls were three-peating, and then they're like, okay, well, this is never going to end. So, like, we're going to create a separate tournament, and the Bulls aren't invited, and it'll be great.
Well, people still don't credit the Rockets for their 2 championships because Jordan wasn't playing those 2 years.
And it's probably a very fair criticism. Grant, you remember those years?
Yes, very well.
I would like to give you at some point, I'm working on an article for my website. Thanks to the guys at Sun Ant Interactive, which are also putting together a website for the sponsor of the stream, danshaney.com. For your insurance needs, 414-732-2542, or visit danshaney.com today. DraftKings has a mock of a contest where you have to pick the first 15 picks. So I'm mocking my first 15 picks. Is now a good time to tell you what I've got so far?
I feel like I can talk about something other than the Bucks. Yeah, Paul.
I was pretty much done with Bucks. Like, if I can just say one thing, another topic I didn't get to share with you, and I will not, but I will share with you, but not for this sake. You live in a ready? I'm just gonna share it. Whatever. You live in a world where the Bucks don't win the finals this year. Knowing, Bart, your specific disdain for players and fan bases, hypothetically, the Bucks either lose to CP3 and the Suns, Jokic and the Nuggets, or all the things that would come with losing to the Celtics. The team you would be most annoyed and pissed to lose to would be the ... This is all irrelevant now because they just have to beat the Heat first. But I was like,
the answer is the Heat.
Now the answer is the Heat, but it wouldn't have been the Heat. Would it have been?
Well, we've always hated the Heat, and then the last couple of years we hated the Celtics more. But this is a good reminder; it's always been the Heat.
But do you hate Jokic and or Chris Paul more than you hate those teams and their fan bases?
I hate.
Keep in mind what's on the line here. If the Nuggets win the title, don't forget what you've said on this show.
I would rather Jokic win a title than Chris Paul.
Okay.
I feel like if Chris Paul won a title now, it would be like Peyton Manning in Denver. Now that Kevin Durant's there, it would be nice, but I don't know if it would be the crowning achievement that it would have been for CP3 2 years ago. I think that plays a role.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm starting to mock my draft.
Let's do NFL draft. I love it.
And I haven't finished yet, but I will give you my first 8 so far. At number 1, I think Carolina takes Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
At number 2, I think Houston takes CJ Stroud.
Disagree.
Here's my write-up on that. The Houston Texans have been scouting the quarterbacks at the top of this draft for at least a full year. They won their final game of the season, so instead of getting their guy in Young, they'll happily settle with Stroud. He's going here. Houston's not going to pass on this guy because of some weird test result that was a far bigger deal on Twitter than it was in the real world.
Mm-mm.
Paul, you love that cognitive test over watching 3 years of a guy cognitively making decisions is such a boner move from you.
You want to go here?
I think we are here.
It got him to tweet. I never see Paul tweet. It got me excited. It's funny that that's the thing that got you to tweet.
But I'll just say this. So that was with Horvat. He knows infinitely, and I mean infinitely more about college football than I do. I don't like college football.
I love it.
Yeah, and I know that. And you've watched a lot of CJ Stroud, and I've watched a little bit, plus the highlight clip that Horvat sent me. And by the way, since that tweet exchange, the guy who runs the S2 cognition test went on your friend Pat McAfee's show and without naming names said that some of the reporting was inaccurate on 2 of the players. And then McAfee said, so Stroud? And the guy said, I'm not saying who, but let's just say 2 of the guys who have that to be said. I don't know what CJ Stroud's scores are. I know that I don't care who the player is. If that player has that level of score on that test, he's off my board. at the quarterback position.
Balls board.
Off the board.
Why don't you like? All I would do is watch how they play. Am I stupid?
You are stupid. That's a dumb thing to do. But here's the thing.
But that's what I'm drafting the guy to do is play.
No, you're not. You're there to project. And so this is why I would, Bart, I think when you were putting together, this was a few months ago, you were talking about like if you were running a football team, you would hire Toby to do this, you'd hire Grant to be that, you'd hire Horvath to this, and you said you'd hire me to be the general manager. Here's why. You hire me.
Hired.
No, because I would take an analytical, overarching approach, but I would hire really smart people like you guys, like Horvath, who would tell me the tape. And 99 times out of 100, I'd say, I trust the tape. I trust my scouts. I trust my staff. Let me know what I should do. But there's just one thing that would have me say, there's no amount of selling you can do to me to convince me that I should draft this player. And it would be a quarterback with an incredibly low cognition score. It's a deal breaker. That's the deal breaker, ladies, to do some 30 Rock bits.
Nice.
That is
and I
off the board.
The relationship we would have, I would be George Steinbrenner and you would be Billy Martin.
Tell me more.
And this is such a great piece of history. So Billy Martin was the Yankees manager from 75 to 78.
Of course he was. Yep.
He got fired. And then a guy named Bob Lemon took over for a year and a half. He got fired. And then Billy Martin was rehired. Billy Martin got fired again. Dick Hauser did a season. Gene Michael did a season. Bob Lemon did half of a season. Jim Michael got the job back. Then Clyde King. Then in 83, Billy Martin was rehired by Steinbrenner. He gets fired for Yogi Berra. Berra gets fired for Billy Martin. Billy Martin gets fired for Lou Piniella. Lou Piniella gets fired for Billy Martin. Billy Martin gets fired for Lou Piniella.
Oh my God, I did not know this.
Yeah, the Billy Martin era of Yankees managerial, it's so they've had 3 managers since 1996 now.
Yeah.
When they were averaging 3 a season in the mid 80s. So I would fire you and rehire you constantly.
That's fine. There's only a few guys there's only a few things that would cause me to vehemently be against a player. And again, this is not about Stroud, because it sounds like this cognition guy said we retested Stroud. He didn't say this, but he said a player who with a low score retested it very well. That would totally change my approach. All I'm saying is if, in fact, any quarterback, no matter how good the tape was.
But we don't even know what the test is. It could have been 3, 8, 15. What's the next number? Some of those are hard. We're putting so much value into this test. We have no idea what the fucking test even was.
But the thing you can judge it on,
man, person, woman, camera, TV.
They said very good. That's very good. Most people don't remember that. Man, it's one of my favorites. All I would tell you, Bart, is when you look at the quarterback scores of recent drafts of this test, the quarterbacks who do well scored well. The quarterbacks who were bad scored poorly. That's more. I don't need to know what the test is. I just need to know the recent examples of how the quarterbacks performed with those tests. Brock Purdy, off the charts. Knowing what we know today, a year later, no, don't, Grant, don't give me that look.
Sure, he's a smart guy. He's a real student of the game.
But I think in a lot of cases, unless you are like a supremely gifted thrower of the ball or supreme athlete, whatever it would be, being like a guy who can just survey and read defenses is being an NFL quarterback. So Brock Purdy's never going to be a top 5 quarterback out of skill, but especially if I'm drafting late in mid to later rounds, particularly, I'm just going to take the higher score. I don't know.
Let me finish my top 8 mock draft.
Do it.
And it gets bonkers here.
It's already bonkers because Stroud's not going to.
Well, I hate quarterback. I hate when people mock draft trades, but what's going to happen is Young's going 1 and Stroud's going 2. And then the Seahawks should take a quarterback at 5. They'll never be in this position with Geno Smith. They should take a quarterback. But what they're going to realize is the Cardinals are either going to trade that pick or take someone on defense, which means the Colts are going to take Richardson.
No, they'll take Levis, but okay.
The Seahawks are going to be like, well, we don't want to be stuck with garbage can Will Levis, Zach Wilson 2.0. So we're going to trade up and take Richardson. He's 20 years old. He sits behind Geno for 2 years, and then he plays. That means the Colts will take Will Levis. The Seattle Seahawks have traded with Arizona, where they should take Will Anderson, but they won't. They'll take Tyree Wilson. Will Anderson will fall to Detroit. And then at 7, the Las Vegas Raiders. There's going to be a pick that people are like, they don't see it coming now. But once it happens.
Hendon Hooker.
No, Bijan Robinson.
Oh, that would
well, then they're saying bye to Josh Jacobs or what?
Well, now they either can say bye to Josh Jacobs or they've got Robinson, Jacobs, Devontae, Jimmy G.
At least
It's
they can
50 to 1. It's 50 to 1 that 50 to 1 that the Raiders take a running back with their first pick. I'm going to go to Pato. I got $68 to change in. I'm going to take CJ Stroud going 2 with $10. I'm going to take Raiders running back with $10, and I'm going to put the other $48 on Bucs series price.
All right.
And then Jalen Carter to the Falcons, and that's as far as I've gotten.
All right. When you get to the 13 pick,
Jackson Smith, Jigba.
Grant, what's just your 2 days out read, or guess or hypothesis?
He's the one that has a wooden board.
I do. It's at work though, which is why I'm not equipped to talk about this. I don't think Smith and Jigba is going to make it that far. I don't think he's going to come close to making that far. Honestly, I think he'll go in the top 8, top 9, top 10. My guy Ben Kenny, who I've been co-hosting with, loves Lucas Van Ness. Horrible eye test. He just looks like a. God, look at him. But he's kind of what the Packers need if they want to get better in the defensive trenches, because that's where a lot of games are won and lost. I didn't know if you guys were aware of that. A lot of games are won and lost in the trenches. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, he could do some edge rushing stuff. He could move inside. So Van Ness is interesting. I have a hard time believing that the Packers are going to jump up and take Smith and Jigba, which is, I think, what it would take. Maybe a tackle. I don't know. Maybe take a tackle. They might trade down might, I don't know. That might make a lot of sense too. I gave you nothing there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry. No. I was looking at the trade chart last night, and there's several of these, but this is the main one that I've always used. The Packers in the second round have the 42nd and 45th overall picks. So early mid second round. That's worth a total of 930 draft value points. That could give you the 17th or 18th pick. So if you wanted to package your 2 seconds, you could move up for the 17th or 18th pick. So if the Packers desired and they wanted to pick at 13, and let's say Kincaid or Mayer, the 2 tight ends are still available, like, I don't think it's going to happen, but they have the good news is if you're a Packers fan, you want them to do some exciting stuff in the draft. Adding this pick, first off, moving up 2 spots, that was worth 100 points in the trade value charts. And they have the 2 seconds now that are really quality picks that you could move up back into the late teens. So things could get really fun if they wanted to shake it up.
If I had to bet on anything, I would bet on, I think the Packers are going to take a player at 13, tackle, edge rusher, whoever. And then I think those 2 second-round picks, I think they'll do what they did for Christian Watson last year. And they'll jump back into the beginning of the second or the bottom of the first and take their tight end of choice. It's probably what I would bet my money on Goody doing.
And by the way, you wouldn't even need to go that far. If you took the 45th pick and the 78th pick, so the second of the 2 seconds and then the 3rd round pick, you'd move up into the bottom of the 1st round. So the Packers almost have so much 2nd, 3rd round value to play with that they could go back up into the 30th, 31st pick without even having to do much.
Sure.
Like they have a lot of, and of course that's what Brian Gutekunst was trying to create with the Rodgers trade. I mean, many things with the Rodgers trade, but one of which was to have options.
Well, that's what Goody did when they had 2 firsts in, is it 2018 or 2019 with Darnell Savage? Like, when Goody gets extra picks, he can't help himself. Like when Goody gets the extra ammo, the bonus ammo, like, oh, we found this in in our couch cushions type of draft picks.
Yeah.
Like, he can't help himself. He's gonna trade up even if the price is steep, which I don't know if I agree with, but we have a couple of examples of him doing it. So that's what I'd bet on.
So let me ask you this. Bart brought us to the draft topic. I know this is not like the right way to look at it, but we are fans and we are emotional about the stuff. And the Packers constantly pick defense, and it's kind of a running joke and a running theme, right? If at the 13th pick, the Packers draft a defensive player, doesn't matter position, I'm just going to call it a defensive player. You would kind of let out like an audible, like, ugh. So you'd be disappointed to see a defensive player be selected with.
I don't know. The Packers have so many needs that, they're going to take who they think is the best guy available. We're just kind of sick of them always taking defensive guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not like it's the right move to not take a defensive player, but as a fan, you'd kind of be like,
so either they take a defensive player and we're all like, oh shit, another one, or they take a receiver and we're like, all it took was Aaron Rodgers to get traded before they ever spent a first round pick on a wide receiver. You guys know, I would rather bring up something else that's been on my mind.
Please.
As I'm ripping on other people for talking sports and not talking sports. I took my kid to daycare and it's book day. And the whole theme was dress up like your favorite book character. So he's got a Spider-Man costume. So he went to school as Spider-Man. And then nobody else is dressed up in his class. Oh. And what bothered me about this, and it didn't bother, he's a kid. He doesn't know. It didn't bother him. He's not embarrassed. He's happy to be Spidey. But these kids dress up every other fucking day as something. There's one kid's Miles Morales every day. One guy is dressing up as Elsa all the time. There's like 3 Elsas there all the time. Like, yeah, there's 2 boys are Elsa, 6 girls are Elsa. Everyone's fucking
problematic.
Elsa. And then the day that you're supposed to, he's the only one doing it. All this leads me to tie into this point. Just kidding. That was a totally different tangent. What I don't want him to take is an offensive tackle. Cause like, I don't know any of these guys. Yeah. I want to be, I want him to do what's best for the team, but in the moment I want to like be able to say, I know about him.
Yeah.
If they take like an edge guy at 15, like I've never watched this Van Ness kid. I don't know anything about him.
He never started a game at Iowa. It's very contentious, but that's because of the way Iowa does things.
I can't break down tape on Paris Johnson, but I can tell you about wide receivers and running backs.
It would be a lot more
DraftKings.
Yeah,
I think that's why I'm saying it is because like, Bart, are you doing a live draft show?
I thought we were doing a live draft show.
Okay, I was asking it in the sounds.
What
good.
I'm going to do on Thursday is my wife's at a retirement party for some person. So when she gets home, then I will be free to do the draft show. I think what I'll do is I'll definitely be live when the Packers are picking, unless they trade up. 8:00 is the latest I would start.
Yeah, you're not going to miss it at 8.
And then, so if you want to join me, I think what we do is it would be more of a just kind of bullshit hangout sesh. And then once the Packers were on the clock is when the podcast would start.
Mm-hmm. So it's a happy hour until happy hour thing. I see.
Yes.
Winkler happy hour.
And now I'm going to turn my mic off because I need to fart.
Is he going to
see, but if you watch the YouTube version, it was way worse having to watch the expression on his face.
I embellished it.
I know you did.
You could have just pretended to cough. We never would have known, but I guess I
could have just not said anything. Here I am saying I don't like fart jokes.
I was going to say, you're being another hypocritical thing. You're like, no fart jokes. And now you, but yeah, I think that's why it's like, Bart, if the Packers draft Paris Johnson at 13 and you're live doing draft coverage, people are going to be like, okay. Yeah. Offensive line's important to protect Jordan Love. Like, but if they, take a defensive lineman, okay. But if they actually do something that's like more to the general population of like exciting, like Smith and Jigba or Jordan Addison or any of these other wide receivers, That would be like, okay, you got Watson, you've got all these weapons, you're really setting up. So I think it's totally fair, whether you're a podcast host or just a regular dude watching the draft coverage. I don't know, Grant. Grant, what's your reaction? That you're just a little bit eye rolly if they go defense or offense?
I'm not sick of them drafting defense every year. I'm sick of them drafting defense every year and still having a shitty defense. Like that's my frustration with them. So if they take an edge rusher or a defensive lineman, awesome. But like at some point it needs to, like the defense needs to reflect all the resources that are going into it. I'm kind of open for whatever, except safety. Oh, if they take a safety at 13, I'm
and number 13, Alabama safety, Ryan Britt.
It's like, oh yeah, yep. Clinton Dix wasn't him, and neither was Savage. This will be the guy. Yeah, this will be the guy. You just need to draft him higher. That's been the problem with the safety position. That's really the only thing I think I'll be unhappy with. They could take any position, within reason. Like if they take a corner 30 spots above consensus and like, okay, maybe then. But I think for the most part, you take tackle, defensive lineman, wide receiver. If it's a tight end, it's a reach, but it's going to be kind of fun. So I'm still going to kind of be down for it. There's not a lot that could happen at pick 13 that would make me unhappy, which is an exciting place to be going into
except for Branch.
Or your guy Stroud.
Hey, if Stroud falls to 13, I would pass. I
want that dumb box of rocks on my team.
I don't know. I'm going to wrap up the portion of the show.
Can I ask you one more?
Yeah, but I'm going to wrap it up because I know Grant's doing Thrill Michaels, and I have to do a hit in Portland.
This one,
the guy, as the Bucks game is ending, like it's there's a minute to go, it's ending. I'm trying to frantically set up my stream. My guy Brandon goes, "Hey, you available to talk Bucks tomorrow morning?" And I'm like, "Can you let the fucking body at least get cold, you bitch?"
Ben, my co-host, texted me and goes, "I'd understand if you don't want to do the show tomorrow." I'm like, I appreciate that. I'm miserable here. I'm miserable at work. I will have more fun at work. But
all right, Paul.
Here's a quick one. It's Brewers, but it'll be less relevant. I just want to say up top, I don't think there's a lot of MLB players coming to Milwaukee to get like excited about. Like when Aaron Judge came last year, I was like, oh, the Yankees are coming. Aaron Judge is coming. But this weekend, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and the Angels are going to be in Milwaukee. And I wanted to ask you maybe about, is Ohtani and Trout, is that like a must-see? I'm pretty confident they've never played in Milwaukee. I'm 99% confident of saying that. But then I saw, of all people, Bucks guy Ty Windish tweet the following. If Ohtani is available at the trade deadline, make the call, Matt Arnold, even if it's a rental. So let's just play this out for a second. The Brewers, if the Angels fall out of contention and the Brewers are very much in contention, the Brewers should give up a pretty damn decent haul for a Shohei Ohtani rental. This is a Ty Windish special, and I appreciate it, Ty.
Hot Take Jake is also confused. Ty Windish is the one that said Bucks fans talk their shit. He keeps thinking it's you that said that.
I did not say that.
Yeah, it was Ty of the Eurostep pod. Ohtani pitches Thursday, so he will miss Milwaukee.
As a pitcher, he'll miss Milwaukee. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Good point. No.
Really? That would be like CC Sabathia supercharged.
What are you trading for Ohtani?
I mean, it's a rental, so it's not like an absurd amount, but like, let's be ridiculous.
Just think of all the amazing prospects they have from the Hader trade. They could just parlay all those great resources into Ohtani.
Yeah. I would trade Josh Gasser or Jordan Gasser. Or
Robert Gasser.
Robert Buttfuck. What's his name?
Robert Gasser.
All
right.
I would trade Asturi Ruiz.
Okay, hold on. Let's do it. Sal Frelick for a half-season rental of Shohei Ohtani.
Well, yeah.
I don't think they'd even give up Frelick. So I was being like over the. So if you're okay with
that, have to give up Churio and shit.
Bulls, no, you would not.
Angels aren't going to trade Ohtani. They're not going to trade Ohtani. They're going to let him wind out the deal, and they'll say we did everything in our power to try to sign him. They're not trading.
They can
Ohtani.
still. This is not NBA. They can still sign him if he's on a different team for the back half of the 2023
But he ain't
season.
gonna. He wants not to play there anymore.
What?
He will not resign there.
Then they should definitely trade him.
But they need to tell their fans we try. It's like when the Brewers offered like a real courtesy contract to CC and then Prince.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want him, but they had to get it out there. Oh, we tried.
Yeah. Grant? Shohei
No.
Ohtani rental for the Brewers? Ty Windish says. I love it. For me.
No, this is a small market team just trying to have fun and be relevant for a couple months. I'm in the business of winning championships, or at least doing everything you can to win championships.
This would drastically increase your chances for a championship in 2023.
I don't know that it would.
He's a two-way player.
I don't know, man.
Best pitcher and the best hitter in baseball.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, I've gone into the playoffs thinking, God, we got Corbin Burns going twice every playoff series. No way we lose. And it just, I don't know.
Is this your new finals matchup?
But now pretend that
The Celtics versus the Lakers.
Prop comedy every week.
One thing, I know, Bart, you wanted to end that. I can't complain about this. We can't complain about this because we're Bucks fans and we're going to lose the series. But it is kind of fucked that Boston ended up with Atlanta and the Bucks ended up.
Yeah, and then Atlanta wins, and then I'm thinking, oh, maybe that. And now Murray's out.
So
Is that
I'm
game?
not saying it's not fair because the Bucks
I'm taking a night off of the NBA playoffs.
But I'm thinking Adam Silver is looking at this and thinking, like maybe
We're recording this on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, good. The Warriors don't play. All right. I'm taking a night off of the playoffs then.
Speaking of lucky, geez, let's just have the other player on the best player on the other team get hurt. Never happened to Steph Curry before. What did you want to bring up? You wanted to bring up something you said that wasn't. What was on your mind?
Bart, you?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I think it was this.
Oh.
Right.
My kid's book thing?
You made it sound, you're like, I'm going to end the thing. And you made it sound like you had something you wanted to get to. But maybe you just wanted to get rid of us. Maybe that's what you were saying.
No, I do want to say one last time, since we talk about announcers all the time. Kevin Harlan, that was awful. His call was fucking terrible. He was more empathetic. That's not the right word. He was more like pumped up about Jimmy's. Like it was like he was putting on a show. And I get that, Kevin. I get that, but he was calling. Jimmy Butler scores 56, and it's like half of the enthusiasm he had when he scored 9.
I don't know, man.
Harlan's dead to me.
Your team loses a big playoff game.
I know he's friend of show. I know he's like the greatest guy ever. But he let his daughter marry Sam Decker. I mean, what really is this guy? What's the judgment of this man?
Come on. You're right. You should have ended this podcast. This was a mistake going on an extra few minutes.
No, it never is and never will be. I'm my own brand. I'll never get hired or work anywhere else again besides fucking stocking shelves at Home Depot, which there's no shame in that. Maybe that's my calling. Maybe that's what I like. You know what I would like? Let me end it on this.
Okay.
I want a job where at some point, one of my daily duties is I have like a little cart I ride around. So maybe I should have been like the landscaping world. I just want to ride around on a little cart.
Get forklift certified.
Like golf course maintenance?
Yeah, like I used to be the ref coordinator in Fondy for soccer, and I would have like this gator that I would ride, and I would just ride around the fields and see how everyone's doing, and I'd give refs rides and give people rides. I just really enjoyed being the guy on the cart.
Go do it.
Landscaping. I would love to become a full-time landscaper so I could dedicate my life to listening to sports talk radio full-time and not bog myself down with doing it. And then I could really, really delve into that world, honestly, without having, any conflicts of interest at all. So I get that part of the appeal. You just want a cart, though? It's the actual riding?
Well, yeah, I just want to ride on a cart.
And then lastly, Grant, any thoughts on CM Punk being backstage at Monday Night Raw before being escorted out by security.
I mean, he's fed up. He's old and he's tired and he's hurt and he works with a bunch of fucking children. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna let CM Punk do what he wants to do. I think he's earned it. That's my answer.
Oh, someone, and this guy expects us to listen to his below average podcast.
Bart, last night or during the Bucks loss was actually the first time ever that I'm like, you need to put Twitter away. Because I was starting to fight Pete Bukowski. I'm like, no, you're gonna put away Twitter.
You were?
Yeah, I replied to him twice, and there was a back and forth, and then I'm like,
Yeah, I don't think the character of a man should not be judged on how he tweets after playoff losses.
I might argue that's exactly when he should be judged.
That's maybe a good point. I don't know. Maybe that's an for another time. Bart's like, fuck, he's right.
Maybe I'll make that my clip. It was going to be my Bud Light charade from earlier, but
that was pretty funny. That Bud Light next is, respectfully, it's terrible. It's god awful beer. It's water with bubbles in it.
What about my Bud Light lemonade?
That's probably good. I had one of those simple, not twisted teas, but like the lemonade seltzers at a Bucks game. Awful, terrible.
All right, I got to talk to Portland.
All right,
peace.
My below average podcast. Thanks for coming on.